And we on the air for track 2. Okay. I told y'all we going harder every week, right? Last week was audio only, but it basically just covered, why we thought it was okay, or who made up this stupid rule that by 25 our lives will be together. And I said it last week and I'm saying it again. Like, I remember in, what was it? Definitely in high school, seeing a tweet and this girl was like, by 25, be married with kids. And then people get 25 without either. And then they think they just a failure. So it's good to see, that a lot of people are starting to wake up from that spell. And, but then the next question would be, what happens when something traumatic happens and you really think your life is over in that 25 to 34, kind of thing. So getting into that, today's episode is titled How to Bounce Back After Your Quarter Life Crisis. All right. The meme reads, young millennials are the most resilient yet troublesome generation the world has ever seen. And I truly believe that for many reasons. And as we unpack each week with this, this series, I think that people will be able to see that. Inspirations come from when stuff just keeps happening. Have you ever been in a situation or a spell? I actually was just in one recently where it just seemed like one thing after another just keep happening, just one thing and another, then another, then another. And sometimes it'd be like the big kahuna that feel like 20 things at once. And then a quote that I liked, and it says, resilience is accepting your new reality, even if it's less good than the one you had before. So I think this is perfect, especially for my guest today. So y'all, as always, well, not always, but most times as we did transition, I have a guest this season. So let's go ahead and introduce my guest for the week. All right.
Hello.
How you doing? Tell the
I'm doing
people.
good.
Good, good. Tell the people your name, where you from, and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Jasmine. I'm from Texas. I'm a military brat, so not Houston, Texas, but Killeen, Texas. And I am a content creator and a digital creator for brands.
Okay, okay. And how did you get into being how did you get into being a content creator?
So I've always loved like watching YouTube. Like in college, YouTube was my thing to watch to like get through classes and stuff. And then I was like, oh, I want to do YouTube. Like I really want to like show my personality. But I've had to find like my niche. So I did love makeup. And when I was doing makeup, it was more so like in my bathroom, like just to practice. And then I started posting myself in 2018 after I had my baby. And I was like, okay, people are liking it. Cool. All right. So then I didn't actually start really getting into becoming a content creator until 2019. And that's when I was diagnosed with vitiligo.
Okay, so we're gonna put a pause on that because I want to come back to it.
Okay.
So, when you hear the word or the phrase "bounce back," what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Ooh, a bad situation happening.
Okay.
Like,
When you
yeah,
think of the phrase "quarter life crisis," what comes to mind?
not having a job.
All right, and when you think of the word resilience, what comes to mind?
Ooh, like strong willed coming
Okay.
back from a situation. Yeah.
Okay, so I went ahead to find all three of them, and so bounce back to return quickly to normal after a condition, to return quickly to a normal condition after a difficult situation or event. Quarter life crisis, similar to the more widely recognized midlife crisis, the quarter life crisis is a period of uncertainty and questioning. The typical occurs when people feel trapped, uninspired, and disillusioned during their mid 20s to early 30s. And then resilience, it says the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties and toughness. Okay.
Yes.
So, you about in the same ballpark. And I like asking those questions. I like to get people to kind of just think first thing that come to mind. It's never a right or wrong answer. I mean, whatever you think is whatever you think.
Right.
So now let's move into my other segment. All right, which is what does this have to do with mental health? So now you mentioned you had vitiligo. So
Yes.
tell the people how that came about.
So, long story short, I went to get my eyebrows waxed like normal women do in their routine to get their eyebrows, their eyes, their whatever. So, I was getting my eyebrows waxed at a nail salon, and I suffered a chemical burn from the wax being too hot. After going to different doctors and dermatologists, I had a biopsy done on my face, and it was then told to me that I've been diagnosed with vitiligo. It was very small. It started on my eyebrow and then it just spread it. It's actually smaller than what it used to be. But
Mm.
yeah, that's how it started.
So, like, could you sue them people?
Yes, I could. So actually, I was in the process of doing that, but the retainer fees were crazy. Like the lawyers that I was looking into, because I was in Louisiana at the time, they were wanting so much, and I couldn't find. I probably could have did my research better. I just couldn't find a lawyer that would help me without wanting fees up front. Like they didn't want to take it from the winnings; they wanted it up front, and like it was as most as like $10,000 to be represented. So I was just like, you know what? If this is God's plan, I'm not even about to go this route. But every time I tell my story, they're like, why haven't you sued?
Because I was thinking, so like, are those people still in business?
Yeah, they actually are. And actually, I still continue to get my nails done. They have two locations. I still continue to get my nails done there, but like they would remember me. They were like, oh my God. So they would treat me different, but they knew what they did. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like that keeps them on their toes because, and in a sense, they kind of got the right person because if it would have been anybody else, of course, you tried to go through the process,
Yeah.
but if somebody probably would have went swinging, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
wanted to.
I wanted to, but God said, I got something better for you. And it all worked out.
And this happened when you were how old?
25.
Okay,
I was
okay.
25.
And that's funny because we talking about quarter life crisis.
Yes.
So just before I move into my like source real quick, when it happened, did you feel like my life is over?
Yes. I was scared. I was going through all kind of emotions. I felt as if no one would like me. People would look at me crazy. But then I thought like this isn't cancer. This isn't like an illness. Like what's wrong with you? But I definitely felt like my life was over.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that because it's like you see when it happens to people, it's like it starts one place and it goes over their whole body. So it's
Yes.
you blessed you didn't have that happen.
No.
And then, people instantly think of Michael Jackson. And I remember a
Mhm.
long time ago, I used to watch the Maury Povich show. Don't judge me, y'all. And I remember a girl on there, she had vitiligo. And of course, she had it over her whole body. And Maury, messy, gonna ask her, what do the kids at school call you? And she said, black and white Michael Jackson. And then she started crying. And I'm like, why would you ask that?
Zebra, cow.
But
what race are you when clearly because there are some people who have it like to where you can't tell if they're black or white,
yeah.
right? But me, I mean, come on, I'm black. But when it used to be more spread over my face, they're like, okay, so what are you? And I'm just like black. Do you have what Michael Jackson has? I don't know, honestly, because there are rumors that he bleached his skin. I don't know.
And the world would never know. Or somebody, somebody knows something, but we
Somebody.
gonna we gonna get off mic today.
Yeah.
All right. So, according to psychiatric morbidity and quality of life in vitiligo patients, it said mental health in vitiligo patients is poor and leads to significant decrease in quality of life. It says
Mm.
vitiligo has a major impact on the quality of life patients. Many feel stigmatized by their condition. Majority of vitiligo patients experience anxiety, depression, frustration, and embarrassment when meeting strangers and disturbances noted in interpersonal relations or beginning a new sexual relationship. All right. And it has shown that counseling can improve body image, self esteem, and quality of life with vitiligo. So that's a
Mm.
lot to unpack with that. And with that, I think that's interesting because obviously now, but it's a blessing in disguise because now we live in a time where, what's the word I want to say? I don't want to sound like T.I. We live in a time now where like those were basically stuff is celebrated that wouldn't have been celebrated a while ago. And when I say stuff, I mean like different people looking different. We see models now, who are women who are 7 feet tall in some cases, and then some who are 4'11", and then some who have unibrows and things like that. So when we see somebody like yourself who, like, if you would have went, or if you were to go on Top Model now, you're obviously beautiful. Then you have, your mark. That would be like she would win off a rip, because it's like she got the look, she got the confidence. So with that, I think that it's good that you are so confident, and it has become your moneymaker, because as you were saying, you already was doing something with the content creating, but then this revved it up.
Right.
So opportunities, are you getting them like daily now because of it? Every other day? Like, how does that work?
I would say weekly. Um, I used to accept everything in the beginning, but once I really started understanding the background of being a content creator, understanding, that people can take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm.
I start in 2022, I've been saying no more than yes, but they have been no's that have opened up bigger opportunities for a yes. So yeah.
When you say that, I definitely get what you're saying, because it was up until recently, I was just kind of accepting everything that came my way. Um, it's funny because like now that some places are reaching out and offering like free food, free merch, and then other ones will be like, the ones that be like, oh, you get 10%. I don't want no 10% off.
Right.
I want it's free. If it's not free, I'm not doing it.
Right.
And I laugh at that because I know this is probably corny, but I think about like them Disney movies. I think of like The Little Mermaid and Hercules, when like the sea witch and how Hades had, and like they try to get you to sign on the dotted line, but you didn't really read all the way, and then they got your soul. That's really how it be as these content creators. Like they be trying to get your soul, like for real, and
Yes.
get you to. I got an email from somebody. They wanted me to post my content on their stuff, and then I had to do my research. I was just about to sign the dotted line. I did the research and I saw like, I don't think this is it. And then they would have had the rights to my stuff. It went bad.
Yeah. I had a lesson learned for myself. I did a deal with Walgreens. I didn't read properly. That's why it's very important to either read or hire your manager, a social media manager. But I didn't read properly. And now my face is sitting in Walgreens aisles, like, and I didn't get paid for it. So it's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah, you definitely got to read. You definitely got to make sure you're not getting taken advantage of, and read the fine print, perpetuity, all of that. Read the fine print.
Do you have a manager, or you
I
on
do
your own?
not. I do it all by myself. I wanted
Okay.
one, but now that I see what I can do, what I'm capable of, it'll get better. Yeah.
So you basically have been one of the people where you just been learning as you go along.
Yes. It's hard.
I was gonna
It's,
say, how's that journey been? Because I know it's been a lot of failures, but that's the part of life.
yes, it's a lot of failures, but I ask questions. I'm on YouTube a lot. I'm Googling. I also try, this is why I love like people who don't gatekeep, and I love women who are not like giving mean girl mentality, because I do reach out to a lot of my fellow influencers. I reach out to like-minded influencers and I just jump in their DMs and ask them questions. Sometimes you get ghosted, sometimes they don't even read it, but then sometimes people respond to you, and I appreciate that. I also do a lot of like master classes and things of that nature. So I take the time to learn on my own, but I do ask questions. Closed mouth don't get fed. So I do ask questions.
Yeah, and that's good. I'm glad you said master classes, because that's for everybody listening. Them master classes are
Yeah.
a game changer. Especially sometimes you have to pay for a course. I did that with the podcast stuff, and you
Mm-hmm.
have to make money. You have to spend money to make money. And I think a lot of times our people are afraid to do that. But we're gonna spend it on all this other stuff we don't need. If you think about it, if you go ahead and just drop that 1100, however much, But here's the thing with the masterclass, y'all. Catch them. They always got a deal. Catch them when they got their discounts. That's the main thing to do. Or when they got a sale, a half off. Or this just in, just have you some money to the side.
Right.
All right. So it's simple. It's in short, you would consider yourself resilient.
Most definitely.
All right. So, according to an article on wellnesseveryday.com, an article titled Resilience, the Power to Bounce Back, it says resilience helps protect you against mental health problems such as depression and anxiety. It can also help offset factors that put you at risk of mental illness, such as lack of social support, being bullied, or previous trauma. And being resilient can help you cope better with an existing mental health illness. To become more resilient, it takes time and practice. If you don't feel you're making progress, or you just don't know where to start, consider talking to a mental health professional. With their guidance, you can improve your resiliency and mental well-being and be on your way to a more satisfying life. Okay, with that, have you in the last years, either after your diagnosis, even before, ever suffered from any mental health like issues, any depression, anxiety, anything?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do you currently, or have you ever been to a therapist or a counselor of any kind?
Yes, I'm actually attending therapy now.
How is it?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm only on my second session. We do virtual sessions. I do have the option of going in office, but my therapist is more towards childhood trauma,
Hmm.
and things I've experienced from my past that I'm dealing with and that I'm bringing into friendships and relationships. So it's a little different for me, but I do bring in the fact that, this traumatic thing has happened to me in such an old age where it kind of messed with my self-confidence. But I'm learning and I have learned to, oversee that. But yeah, I love it. I think everybody should go to therapy.
And I say that all the time because a lot of times people will be like, "Oh, I don't need to go because ain't nothing wrong with me." But the thing is, it's not going because something's wrong with you. I mean, a lot
Mhm.
of us something wrong, we just don't know.
Yes.
But a lot of the time, you going just to really just get a professional view. Because I hear people say your
Mhm.
friends are your therapist, and I mean, and that's cool, but that's not. They ain't a professional.
Not the
I want
same.
a professional.
It's not the same.
So it's good that you go, especially as and what and the thing is, I don't want you to feel like, I'm sure you don't, but just that this situation is all to you because it's not.
Mm-mm.
Because even your child, like you said, your childhood trauma, and a lot of times we have that and don't realize it. And so with that, do you feel as though with things that happened to you as a child compared to now, do you think it's a lot of stuff that you may have felt was hidden that you didn't get a chance to unpack yet, or you felt like you knew it was always there, it just never got a chance to be fully addressed?
It was always there. Um, I'm learning. Well, my next step in therapy is to communicate with those from my past, things I wanted to say back then that I haven't been able to say. So that's very important. So it was always there for me. It was just I needed that extra boost.
Now, this is my question. It just dropped. Do you feel that your experiences that you went through in the last few years, do you feel like that gave you the confidence?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I used to be made fun of for my skin in elementary, middle school, high school, just for being dark skinned. And
Hmm.
I was just so ashamed. Like my siblings are lighter than me. I consider myself the black sheep out of my family because all my siblings are light skinned, and I'm the only dark skin. But I look just like my mama. So I would always feel like, oh, I'm ugly, oh, this and that, because that's what they would tell me. Now, because of this condition, like because of vitiligo, I swear to you, I get more compliments from men and women than I ever have before. You're beautiful. Oh my God, queen, this, that, and the third. And it's just like, me? Is it because of this? Like, it's kind of crazy, but it helps me. Jasmine, love yourself. Like, it's not the end of the world. Just love yourself. If other people can love you, you can love you too. It doesn't happen overnight, but it
No,
happened for
no.
me. It happened for me. And I appreciate, I literally call my vitiligo a blessing in disguise. I always say that.
I think it's funny because you say that because a lot of people, including myself, until their recent years, really didn't start to, you know, love who they are as a person and like see themselves in this light that everybody else had been seeing. And it'd be crazy because like I'm sure you was getting chose before the vitiligo, but I know you still be getting chose now. And like I said, you can look at you very pretty. Like you'd be different
Thank
if you
you.
look like, how some people be like, but but confidence is everything. But
Yeah, it
I
is.
feel like when people like sometimes you get chosen, you be like, me? Like, you like me? And I think that that's funny because it's just good when you finally get to be able to see that. I'm trying to keep me tongue tied. When you can see yourself the way God sees you, I think that's the
Yes.
main thing. And I think sometimes people get like we just get caught up in what the negative stuff from the childhood trauma because it's sometimes I used to have this theory when I used to like be real mean, and I would say, for example, if somebody get beat up, you don't get over that L. That's just how it is, like an
Right,
actual
right.
physical fight. But if somebody say the right thing to you, that's gonna stick. And so I know I've been on both sides of that. I tell my truth here. So I've been on both sides where I'm like, I'm gonna say this to them and that's gonna stick. Even if they don't say it bother them, I know it does. And then I've had that happen to me where something was said to me 20, how old am I? 28. So like 20 years ago, and I still remember it, and there would be times where I would shudder like it was just said. So it's life is crazy, but it's just good that I feel like, and I hope this episode, especially the whole series, really the whole show, but this episode especially helps people to know there is a light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what happens, and that when you are in this quarter life, part of your life, not necessarily 25, it could be 31.
Yeah.
When something traumatic does happen, and I'm sorry, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, something's gonna happen.
Something's gonna happen.
It may not be as extreme
When
as,
you least expect it.
yeah, something is gonna happen. So I want people to definitely, you know, be aware of that. All right, so let's move into the next segment, which is the weekly sabbatical, which is a time to just kind of reflect and just kind of, you know, a remembrance, kind of so to say. So, with your content, what can you say your overall purpose of your content is? What is the goal of content?
So the purpose of my content is to uplift men and women. I don't have that many male followers because I just attract women, of course, due to the makeup, but I hope to get an even here and there. I want people to feel confident. I want people to know that you don't have to live in the thoughts of what other people think about you. And what other people say. Like I don't clap back on anything that people say like mean to me. I just delete comments. But I do address people in a way where they can learn, because there are a lot of people who do not know about vitiligo, the skin condition, but it's more to it. It's more of just, embracing yourself, whatever you may be going through. I know some people, they message me and they go, my daughter gets bullied for her birthmark, which is nowhere on her face. And I show her you and you teach her self-confidence. And it's just like, so I don't know if it's my smile. I don't know if it's the way I carry myself. I don't know what it is, but that's what I want. I want more of that. I want more and more people to love themselves for who they are, and know that social media does not have to be where, oh, it's luxury and you have to wear the finest things and have all the money. Like, I am my true authentic self on and off the camera. And I want people to learn to be their true authentic selves in life every day, all day. And you don't have to worry about the opinions of others to know that you are amazing. Like, God made us all different for a reason. And whether you're light skin, dark skin, have a physical, albino, vitiligo, all of that, you're perfect just the way you are. And I want everybody to know that, men and women.
Yeah, and like you said, you're of course gonna attract women more naturally because of the makeup stuff. But I think that with everything that has happened and just the way the world is, it's good to see people still out here trying to just make everybody be okay. Because it's unfortunate that sometimes people have to be the ones who have to have that situation happen to them so that they can be the voice for everybody else, in a sense, a voice for the voiceless. And everything you're doing, it's pretty good. I haven't followed you for very long, but for the time I have, I've definitely seen the confidence, and I can definitely see kids, other people even who say, she makes it easy for me to just be confident the way I am and what's going on, because the way it's easy to look at the world and just be depressed and sad every day.
Yes.
And when you get online, it's good to see a few people who just got something good going on. But I think overall, with content in general, it's being consistent. And I think for the most part, you're pretty consistent with what you're doing, and that's why you keep getting the money. Because I mean, if the money ain't dried up, you're doing something right. So in a weird way, I'm happy. I think about my times when I went through it. My quarter life crisis, the easiest one most people think of is when you graduate from college and don't have a job. And for me, it was, as I talked about last week, I had a job and lost it. Well, I
Mm.
actually quit for they fired me because they was about to fire me. So you raised your finger. So has that happened to you before with a
Yes.
job?
Oh, most definitely. So I went to LSU. I graduated from LSU with my bachelor's in sociology with a concentration in criminology. So I was on my way to law school. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a defense attorney for juvenile delinquency. Like I had it all planned out. I got lazy. Then I got pregnant. It just, and honestly, I used to feel shame because I'm like, oh my God, my sister's doing what my mom told her to do. I'm the only one not in my profession and you know in a field, but I was making money. Like I didn't really, I was making money, so I didn't see anything wrong with it. But do I regret like not going to law school? Of course. Do I still have time? Most definitely. But yeah, it was kind of like what I just paid like for this degree to be on social media. That's crazy.
You know, with school, and I say this all the time, and you know, I look at it like this. I only got my bachelor's before I learned a year before my final year. I had decided I can't do no law school, and that's because I wanted to go to law school originally too.
Oh,
And I was in school 4.5 years, and I was in year 3.5, which I knew was a blessing. And I think I told this on my podcast before, but I had got work study. Seniors never get work study in any school. I think we all
no.
know that. And it was a blessing that I got work study for the first time, and I got work study in the law school. And then I remember working
Mm.
in the law school that semester, and I was just like, this ain't me. And I was listening to, right, I was listening to it, talking to some of the people in law school, and they was like, I'm here because I love it. And I was just like, it was kind of that same thing where it was like I was kind of suggested to do it. And
Mm.
I was like, this ain't it. You
Yeah,
know, this is too much. It's too much. And you have to love what you're doing. And now you love what you're doing. So it's
I
like,
do.
if you go to law school, my only question is, would you love it? And if you got
I don't know.
and if you gotta hesitate, then the answer is no.
Yeah. Oh, back
I
then
mean,
I probably would have.
and I think we just live in a society like even with me when I had got my degree, like I look at my college degree as I got my degree in English, right? So
Ooh,
minor in sports management, wanted to be a sports attorney. And with English, you know, of course, people obviously think teacher, but they don't realize with the English degree, it's also obviously a lot of writing. And
yes.
it's a lot of critical thinking. People don't realize that with English because a lot of times, of course, we had the papers, the essays, but we will also have a lot of open discussions
Yeah.
about, you know, unpacking the author. Why did they do this? So everything I
Mhm.
watch on TV, read, as a lot of critical thinking. Even people they post on social media. Why did they post that? What was the purpose of this? Like that's how my mind is. And so with that, I think a lot of the with my degree was to for me to enhance my writing ability, to really expand my critical thinking. And then a lot of the life lessons I learned in college I think was more for me than the actual degree, and I stated that.
Mm,
So that's why
that's
it's like,
true.
so until I can podcast full time, my job, I'm getting money doing what I'm doing as far as in education, you know. So it's like I don't, and like I said, that's why I tell people, like, do you really need to go back to school? Or do you think you need to go back to school?
I think.
And that's something, obviously, if you've seen, y'all seen the track lineup. So we'll be discussing that later on in the series. All right. So I think she's resilient. I think we all think that. And I know I'm resilient. So for those of you who may say, I want to be resilient, but it's hard, I really don't know what to do, I got some tips. So me and her are going to unpack this, and this comes from 7 Ways to Bounce Back, and this is by Peggy Street. All right, so I'm going to name the 7 ways, and well, it's not. It's seven. It's 7 ways, but I picked the 5 that were most important, and
Okay.
we're going to talk about, we think those are pretty good or not. All right. So the
Okay.
first one, it says, don't compare yourself to other people.
Mm,
It's easier said than done, but it's definitely needed.
yes.
It says the second one says defang self-criticism. It says that if you're someone who tends to be very hard on yourself and who defaults to blaming your innate character flaws for setbacks, try to nip that in the bud. Talk back to that voice that tells you you're a hopeless dud and figure out where the voice is coming from. It is an echo of what a parent used to say to you, or maybe a bully sibling. Instead, take a deep breath and see what part of the disaster you're dealing with was actually your responsibility. And I like that because it says defang self-criticism. So I instantly think of like literally defanging a lion or like a cheetah or something. But I like that because the talking back to that voice. That's interesting. I really like that because you're gonna hear that voice and then you'll just respond back to it, whether it be with affirmations, whether it be with scripture, whatever. You respond back to it. I definitely believe that it would help with that. The third one says work on managing your emotions. Dealing with your feelings of upset, pain, and disappointment is the major task at hand, especially if you see setbacks as an evidence of your lack of work. Being able to label what you're feeling and why you able to begin to pick up the pieces productively. So I think in anything, working on your emotions is needed, but especially in situations where you want to become resilient because the life is going to show you why you should be upset and why you shouldn't be happy or why this is the worst thing in the world. But and I hate to sound cliche, but like if you still alive, I think it was 2 Chainz. He said, if you still alive, nigga, you winning. So I mean, look. All right. 4. It says deal with life in quadrants and don't try to change everything at once. I like that.
Yeah.
It says many years ago when I was readying my house for sale and despairing of imposing order of what was chaos, my friend Leslie, someone who was way neater than I am, the kind of person who immediately makes stacks of things, gave me really helpful advice. Tackle every room in sections, divided into halves, quarters, or thirds first. I like that. Okay, I actually do that in the gym, and I didn't realize it. So when I'm at the gym, say for instance, I got a set of 12.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes I'll like do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in my head. Because sometimes if it's something that's heavy, 12 seem like a long time away, counting to 12. So if I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then restart it in my head, for me, sometimes that helps with it's not as
Bad. Yeah.
intense. And I look at that with even like with me moving soon, start with the living room this week. Especially if you set it up into where it's not the week before, now you send somewhere screaming, you do the living room this week. Then the next week you worry about everything in the bedroom. Then the room time after that you worry about the bathroom. I think if we split our life up, I could see how that would work. Even with you
Definitely.
creating content, I'm sure you don't just, and I don't know how you do. I don't think you just wake up and just like, so let's ask that. Do you do that? Do you just wake up with an idea and just kind of work on it all at that one time? Or is it like, I'm going to do this part today, this part tomorrow? How do you do your stuff?
I guess it would just depend on what content I'm creating. I know there's a lot of creators who do batch content where they will like have all their outfits planned out and go do content all in one day. Me, I have a planner. I plan out my content by the week. I may give you a TikTok, a funny video, a makeup tutorial, a day in the life of, and I just plan it out by my week. Sometimes I don't do what I was supposed to do that day, but I'd always have something to fall back on. So it just depends what I'm creating.
Okay. All right, good. And then the 5th one says, put the relentlessly upbeat people in your life on
Yes.
hold. Or I couldn't even finish. She said, yep.
Yep.
Do you have anybody like that in your life? It's just like everything got to be happy all the time.
Yeah, me.
Oh, so you
I
just
try to, I don't know. I try to keep like-minded people around me, but I also try to keep people that are positive. Like sometimes like just negative energy or just flip-floppy energy can drain you and it can drain your mental. And I feel like that all ties into, what we're talking about. So yeah, I definitely I keep going, but I agree with it already.
it says our culture tends to be very impatient about recovery from a loss or a setback, and there is unfortunately a whole group of people who seem to believe that there is an expiration date on getting back on
Mm,
your feet. Then, too, there are those who believe that everything happens for a reason, and while it may be helpful for them to approach life that way, it's not going to help you. Do you surround yourself with people who will listen to you without preaching? Hearing that you're being too pessimistic or that you need to look on the bright side isn't going to help you, no matter how well meaning those folks actually are. So I think that's interesting because it's basically just saying from the aspect of you can't be happy all the time. And I think
you
we
can.
be I think sometimes we get caught up in like, not feeling our emotions. And so we get too happy and just act like, oh, nothing's happening. Like your house on fire. You just sitting here smiling like, oh, it's okay. It's all right. The ceiling coming down. Your foot then caught on fire. Oh, it's good. It's good. No, it's okay to feel it. I am for trying to look on the bright side because I do that. And people be like, you always trying to get somebody benefit of the doubt. You always try to look on the bright side. I be like, I be trying because I be trying to help people out, even though the evidence say otherwise.
Oh,
But
Lord. No, I'm a Pisces, so I be going through all kind of emotions, but I just be smiling a lot. I'm kind of sensitive though. I do cry. I get mad, but I be smiling.
oh, you like Angela Bassett smiling while you mad.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, all right, y'all better watch out. Okay. So let's move on. We had a great conversation thus far. So now we always got to end with the game time. All right.
Okay.
So this game is called Bounce Back or Fall Back. I'm gonna name a few different scenarios, and you're gonna tell me where you can bounce back from that, or like, nah, hey, you gotta shake the scene. I gotta flick the scene.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. Your current boyfriend cheats on you and gets a new baby. Are you bouncing back from that, or you like, nah, you got
I'm falling back.
it?
I'm
All
falling
right.
back.
So one of your business partners decides to set you up for a trip to go to Spain. Everything looks legit, but he doesn't have a return date set.
Bounce back. I'll get it. I got it.
All
Fine.
right. You see somebody out and you want to pursue them as far as a relationship. However, they have a crazy baby mama, but they are themselves have shown everything that aligns with what you want. Like
Bounce
everything.
back. Yeah, I'll bounce back. I can deal with them. I got that.
All right. And it's the last one.
Okay.
Say, for instance, you decide to go into one of those content creating houses to create content. Are you bouncing back, or you get the opportunity to do it? You bouncing back like, oh, I can get through whatever they throw at me, or you falling back like I ain't even gonna give it a chance?
I'm falling back. No, you are not about to get me out of character.
Did you watch Bel Air?
No.
Oh, you need to watch it, but I won't give up too much. But what I will say is the new
What
Hillary,
platform is it on?
Peacock.
Okay.
So basically, the new Hillary,
Mhm.
she was doing something where she was in one of those TikTok houses, and it wasn't TikTok, it was just like social media houses, and basically they own all the rights to her stuff, and it was like she had to do it like this, or she was gonna have to pay a fine. And so it's
Oh.
funny because I asked that question and you had already, which I didn't know you was going to talk about, but how people don't read the fine print, and then they got your face, and if you don't do it, you got to pay all this money. So you basically
Mm,
sold your soul and didn't even realize it.
that's horrible. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I gotta watch it. I'm gonna tune in.
All right. So ending off with the question of the challenge for my people, I want you to tell me a situation that changed your life forever and how did you recover from it? Because at this point, my target audience, you had one. All right. All right. So I appreciate you for coming through today. Anything you want to
Thank
leave
you.
the people with before you go?
Yes. Well, I have a little saying, and it's do your thing, sis. But I'm gonna tell you guys, you be intentional, and you can do whatever you set your mind to. You could be whoever you want to be, and don't let anybody deter you from your purpose in life. So do your thing. That's
All
it.
right. So now, because as always, I like to set up my series as each one flows into the next.
Yeah.
Do you take mental breaks?
No.
Perfect. I didn't know she was gonna say that, y'all, because next week we talking about the importance of taking one and why you need to take one. So hopefully she
I'm gonna be
tunes into
tuned
that
in.
one,
I'm gonna be tuned in because I need it.
because I don't like people getting burnt out, because then,
Yeah.
especially my content creating people, because I got a homegirl, she does makeup and she'll work, and then just
Yeah.
Don't do yourself like I did in my car, y'all. I was out here driving with some brakes that wouldn't work and I almost died. For
Yeah,
real.
it's not good.
No, that was wild. But you know, I live life on the edge. But again, I appreciate you for coming through. This was a good
Thank you for
episode.
having me.
Yes, we got to come back maybe sometime next season to update and we can kind of go do it like that.
Okay.
But all right, y'all. PSA signing out. Always remember, keep your head up like your neck hurt. Remember who you are and make your mind up. Don't let it